Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm painting a barn owl peeking out of a stone window. Let's get started. I start by applying 3 coats of gesso, letting each coat dry thoroughly and sanding between layers for a smooth surface. Once that's done, I either transfer my image or draw it right onto the canvas with pencil. Then I apply a watered down burnt sienna for a grounding layer. Then I start to mix my base coats for the owl. I begin by blocking in the owl's basic shapes. Once that's done, I start adding a little bit of detail. I like to mix the paint as I go. Here I'm putting a mix of brown and black in the eye area. Once that dries, I'll go in later and put in some highlights. Here I'm starting to do a light wash in the shadowed areas of the face. I'm starting to add the feather details in lighter colors. Always paint in the direction that the feathers would grow. I'm using a small flat brush to paint the detailed feathers around the bird's face. And now I'm using just a small liner brush. I'm mixing a base coat to start blocking in the top of the owl's head and body. And again, I'm just mixing the colors as I go. Because I like to work in layers, I use a wet palette and lots of water. The wet palette has a sponge layer under the paint that stays wet, and then it has a piece of almost like a vellum over the top of the sponge to put the paint on top. Once the base coat's done, I start adding in some of the shadow areas and a few more details. I'm using that small flat brush again here for the feathers. While I'm waiting for the owl to dry, I go in and begin to add the black background. I use two small Stay Wet palettes, so when one gets full, I just grab the other and then just use them both. I carefully darken around the outline of the owl so it blends naturally into the darkness behind it. Next, I begin to paint the dark details of the frame using a blend of black and brown. Then I go back into it and deepen the shadows for more contrast and depth. I'm mixing some blue with black so I can go in and do a wash over the entire frame. I add in a lot of water. I end up letting that dry and then going in and doing another wash of the same color. Once that's dry, I start to add in my dark areas again. Once all those areas are dry, I water down a transparent yellow and do a wash over the entire frame. Then I take white and start to bring out my highlights. I do all of the highlights over the whole frame. Then once those highlights are dry, I take a transparent rose color and do a wash again over the whole frame. Now once that's dry, I'll go over the whole thing with a couple coats of acrylic varnish and he's pretty much done. Thanks for hanging out with me. If you enjoyed this, hit like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.